My dear students, in this video, I'll be dealing with the next six stanzas of Elegy written in a country churchyard. Stanzas 13 to 18. Elegy written in a country churchyard is occasioned by the death of Gray's friend Richard West in 1742. An elegy is a poem written to mourn the death of someone. And this elegy written in a country churchyard it is acclaimed as one of the greatest and most popular achievement of Thomas Gray. Full many a gem of purest ray serene, the dark unfathomed caves of ocean bare. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen, and waste its sweetness on the desert air. Gray expresses his thoughts about the humble lot of rustics who lie buried in the churchyard before him. He regrets the obscure lot of the talented villagers who could become great poets, musicians, or politicians had they been provided with suitable opportunities. In these lines, Gray tells that several young villagers remained unknown, just as innumerable gems of the purest and most pleasing brightness remain lying unnoticed by anyone in the dark depths of the ocean. Likewise, there are innumerable flowers which grow and wither away in the wild forests without being enjoyed by anybody. Like these gems and flowers, these poor but basically talented rustics pass away without getting any opportunity for developing their intellectual level. This is one of the most quoted stanzas of Gray's Elegy. In these lines, the poet draws a parallel between the fate of unobserved genius and that of gems and flowers, which are not the less beautiful because the position in which nature has placed them concealed them from human eye. The metaphor contained in this verse is most exquisite, and perhaps no lines possesses more finish. Some village Hampton that with dauntless breast the little tyrant of his fields withstood. Some mute inglorious Milton near me rest. Some Cromwell guiltless of his country's blood. Expressing his thoughts about the humble lot of the rustics, Gray regrets that many of them could become great men had they been provided with suitable opportunities. He says that many of the rustics remained unnoticed and unrecognized simply because they remained obscure, just as innumerable gems with most pleasing brightness lie unnoticed in the dark depths of the ocean, or thousands of lovely flowers wither away in wilderness without being enjoyed by people. In the same melancholy vein, Gray says many of the rustics might have attained great distinction in life. Their genius remained undeveloped owing to their poverty and so called low social status. Some of them might have risen to the status of the great patriot John Hampden. Some of them were gifted with Milton's poetic genius, and some others with the able statesmanship of Oliver Cromwell, who was, however, guilty of shedding the blood of his own countrymen. These villagers were absolutely free from such guilt, since they did not have any occasion to attain political eminence. John Hampden, that is from 1594 to 1643, he lived in this period, was a famous parliamentarian who organized a campaign against the imposition of ship money tax by Charles I. Oliver Cromwell, 1599 to 1658, led the parliamentary forces in the civil war against Charles I. On the execution of the king, Cromwell became the Lord Protector of England. As the leader of the civil war, he was guilty of shedding the blood of his own countrymen. The applause of listening senates to command, the threats of pain and ruin to despise, to scatter plenty over a smiling land and read the history in a nation's eye. Their humble destiny, did not allow them to address parliaments and win applause with their brilliant oratory, nor were they in a position to defy threats of destruction from enemy nations. Likewise, the humble position prevented them from exerting themselves for the happiness and prosperity of their country and reading in the eyes of the nation that look of contentment and joy, which is a proof of the success with which the leaders have governed their country. The Lord forbade, not circumscribed alone, their growing virtues, but their crimes confined, forbade to wait through slaughter to a throne, and shut the gates of mercy on mankind. The humble lot of the rustics, no doubt, did not allow them to achieve any greatness in their lives, but it also restrained them from committing many sinful acts. Greatness is quite often achieved by tyranny and cruelty and by adopting bad and undignified means. The poor rustics never tried to obtain kingship by massacring innocent people. They were never cruel and heartless. They had rather feelings of love, goodwill, and sympathy for their fellow men. They also never adopted undignified and ignoble means to achieve their selfish end. They never stooped low in their lives. They never concealed a known truth. They were never guilty of an immoral act. And they never flattered rich and powerful people by composing poems of undeserved praise in their honor. They led a simple and peaceful life and never deviated from the path of virtue and righteousness. The struggling pangs of conscience stood to hide, to quench the blushes of ingenious shame, or heat the shrine of luxury and pride with incense kindled at the muse's fane. Expressing his thoughts about the humble lot of the poor rustics, Gray regrets that many of them could become great men had they been provided with suitable opportunities. But the poet considers their poverty their plus point. Pursuing the lowly lot of the poor rustics, the poet now describes the advantages of their poverty. It was good for them, he says, that the obscure lot prevented them from committing vicious acts in which rich people are found to indulge. Example, securing the throne by killing others, sacrificing truth and conscience, etc. If the ways to fame were close to them, so were the ways to crime. This is nature's compensation for the lot of these poor people who were contented with their humble destiny and who had no occasion for feeling a sense of shame incidental to the suppression of truth and the necessity for speaking falsehood for the attainment of the selfish ends. They had thus no occasion to crush what they knew to be the truth, while at the same time the truth was struggling within them for expression. There are poets who were compelled to compose flattering verses in honor of the rich and influential persons to serve their personal ends, but the village people were prevented from paying the tribute of flattery and praise to the rich to gain their selfish ends because the latent poetic talents were crushed by their poverty. Far from the madding crowd's ignoble strife, the sober wishes never learn to stray. Along the cool, sequestered vale of life, they kept the noiseless tenor of their way. Describing the nature of the poor rustics, Gray says their circumstances made them suppress the real convictions. They had no occasion to crush what they knew to be the truth, while at the same time that truth was struggling within them for expression. Many of them must have been saved from burning in flames of shame and remorse for doing evil deeds. These village people were prevented from paying the tributes of flattery and praise to the rich to gain their selfish ends because the latent poetic talents were crushed by their poverty. In these lines, Gray praises the quiet and humble life of the poor villagers. These people lived far away from the cities where people indulge in futile struggle for gaining wealth, power, and fame. They never strayed from the path of virtue and nobility, far away from the sick hurry and divided aims of the industrial world. They lived a simple and quiet life in the village. Their life passed as gently as a gentle stream flows through a valley. Gray means to say that these poor and simple rustics preferred the quiet solitude of the village and never went mad after materialistic possessions. It may be noted that Hardy took the title for his novel far from the madding crowd from this stanza of Gray. Gray seems to have borrowed this line from Drummond's sonnet far from the madding whirling's hoarse discourse. Thank you.